Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Verse 1 away. Caitanya Charitamrta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Radhikara Baba Jai Che Uddhava Darshane She Babi Mata Prabhu Rahe Ratine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Just as Radhika went mad at the sight of Uddhava, so Lord Caitanya was obsessed day and night with the madness of separation. Purport: those under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand that his mode of worship of the Supreme Lord Krishna in separation is the real worship of the Lord. When the feelings of separation become very intense, one attains the stage of meeting Sri Krishna. So-called devotees like the Sahajiyas cheaply imagine that they are meeting Krishna in Vrindavan. Such thinking may be useful, but actually, Krishna is possible through the attitude of separation taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ratre pratyakare swarupera kantadare aveshe apana bhava kahe udare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. At night he talked incoherently in grief, with his arms around Swarup Damodar's neck. He spoke out of his heart in ecstatic inspiration. Jabe Jai Baba Ute Prabhura Antara Shekiti Shloke Sukadini Damodara. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Whenever a particular sentiment arose in his heart, Swarup Damodar satisfied him by singing songs or reciting verses of the same nature. Ebe karya nahi kichu e shabichare, age iha vibari bakari avistare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. To analyze these pastimes is not necessary now. Later, I shall describe them in detail. Bhuve Raje Krishnera Trivida Vayodharma Kaumara Paugavna Aura Kaishorati Mara. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Formerly in Vraj, Lord Krishna displayed 3 ages, namely childhood, boyhood, and adolescence. His adolescence is especially significant. Salya Aveshi Kaila Kaumara Sapal Auganda Sapal Kaile Loe Sakaval Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Parental affection made his childhood fruitful. His boyhood was successful with his friends. Kadi Kadi Loy Laila Rasadi Vilasa Vanchabari Asvadila Rasaraniyasa Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In youth, he tasted the essence of rasa, fulfilling his desires in pastimes like the rasa dance with Srimati Radhika and other gopis. Kaishora Vayase Kama Jagat Sakal Rasadi Lilaya Teen Karila Sapa Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In his youth, Lord Krishna made all three of his ages and the entire universe successful by his pastimes of amorous love like the rasa dance. Sopi Kaishora Kavayo Manayan Madhusudanaha Reme Sri Ratnakutasta Shopasu Shapati Pitaha. Lord Madhusudana enjoyed his youth with pastimes on autumn nights in the midst of the jewel-like milkmaids. Thus he dispelled all the misfortunes of the world. Purport. This is a verse from the Vishnu Purana 5:13-60. Vacha Shuchika Savari Ratikala Praghalpayaya Radikam Vrida Kunchita Lochanam Virachayan Agre Sukhinam Asam Tad Vaksho Ruhachitra Keli Makari Panditya Paramgata Kaishoram Sapali Karuti Kalayan Kunche Viraham Hari. Lord Krishna made Srimati Radharani close her eyes in shame before her friends by his words relating to their amorous activities on the previous night. Then he showed the highest limit of cleverness in drawing pictures of dolphins in various playful sports on her breasts. In this way, Lord Hari made his youth successful by performing pastimes in the bushes with Sri Radha and her friends. This is a verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1-231 of Srila Rupa Goswami. Hare Resha Nachid Avatarishyam Mathurayam Madhurakshi Radhikacha Adhavishyadi Amrita Vishishtir Marakarn Kastu Vishishtas Tadatra. O Purnamasi, if Lord Hari had not descended in Mathura with Srimati Radharani, this entire creation, and especially Cupid, the demigod of love, would have been useless. Purport. This verse is spoken by Sri Vrindadevi in the Vidagdha Madhava 7.3 of Srila Rupa Goswami. He matta purve Krishna rasa rasadan yadyapi karila rasa nirasa charan tatapi nihilatina vanchita purana taha asvadite jadi karila yadana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Even though Lord Krishna, the abode of all mellows, had previously in this way chewed the essence of the mellows of love, still he was unable to fulfill three desires, although he made efforts to taste them. Taha pratana vanchakari avyakana Krishna kahi ami hai rasya radhigana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Need a little help with the Maha mantra there. I shall explain his first desire. Krishna says, I am the primary cause of all rasas. Purnanandamai ame chinmaya purna tata radhikara preme ama kare uttama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. That's Radhikara, Prema Ama, Kariya, Unmata. Unmata means maddened. I am the full spiritual truth and I am made of full joy. But the love of Srimati Radharani drives me mad. Najani Radhara Preme Ache Kattabal Je Bali Amare Kare Sarvada Dihal. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I do not know the strength of Radha's love, with which she always overwhelms me. Radhikara Prema Guru Ami Shishyanata Sada Amanana Drite Nachaya Bata. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The lover of Radhika is my teacher, and I am her dancing pupil. Her prema makes me dance various novel dances. Kasmad vrinde priya sakhi hari pada mulad katau kundaran ye kimiha kurute nritya shiksham guruka tam tvam murti prati tarulatam digvidikshu spuranti shailo shiva brahmati parito nartayanti paschat. Oh, my beloved friend Vrinda, where are you coming from? I am coming from the feet of Sri Hari. Where is he? In the forest on the bank of Radhakund. What is he doing there? He is learning dancing. Who is his master? Your image, Radha, revealing itself in every tree and creeper in every direction, is roaming like a skillful dancer, making him dance behind. This text is from the Govinda Lilamrita of Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. Nija prema sware mora hahai ahlara taha hate koti guna rada prema swara. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Whatever pleasure I get from tasting my love for Srimati Radharani, she tastes 10 million times more than me by her love. Ami jaiche paraspara virudha dharma shray radha prema taiche shada virudha dharma mai. Just as I am the abode of all mutually contradictory characteristics, so Radha's love is always full of similar contradictions. Radha prema vibhu jar bhadite nahi thai tatapi she shane kane bhadhe satai. Radha's love is all-pervading, leaving no room for expansion, but still it is expanding constantly. Jahava ipuru vastu nahi shunishchita tatapi gaurava dharma gaurava barbita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. There's certainly nothing greater than her love, but her love is devoid of pride. That is the sign of its greatness. Jahoite samirir vitya nahi ar tatapi sarvada vamya vakravya vahar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Nothing is purer than her love, but its behavior is always perverse and crooked. Vibhur api kalaya sadha bhivridhim guru api gaurava charyaya vinihna muhur upachita vakrimapi shuto jayati muradvishi radhikanuraga. All glories to Radha's love for Krishna. The enemy of the demon Mura, although it is all-pervading, it tends to increase at every moment. Although it is important, it is devoid of pride, and although it is pure, it is always beset with duplicity. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Shri Premara Shri Radhikara, Parama Ashray, Shri Premara Ami Haiya, Kevala Vishai. Shri Radhika is the highest abode of that love, and I am its only object. Vishaya Jatiya Suk Amara Asfada, Ama Hoite Koti Guna Ashrayera Alada. I taste the bliss to which the object of love is entitled, but the pleasure of Radha, the abode of that love, is 10 million times greater. Ashraya Jatiya Sukha Patema Dai Jatne Asfadite Nahi Kikari Upai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My mind races to taste the pleasure experienced by the abode, but I cannot taste it, even my best efforts, even with my best efforts. How may I taste it? Kabujari e primara hai ashray, tabe e premanandira anubhava hoy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes, sometime I can be the abode of that love. Only then may I taste its joy. Purport. Vishai and Ashray are two very significant words relating to the reciprocation between Krishna and his devotee. The devotee is called Ashraya, and his beloved Krishna is the Vishaya. Different ingredients are involved in the exchange of love between the Ashraya and Vishaya, which are known as Vibhava, Anubhava, Sattvika, and Vyabhichari. Vibhava is divided into two categories, Alambana and Udipana. Alambana may be further divided into Ashraya and Vishaya. In the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, Radharani is the Ashraya feature and Krishna the Vishaya. The transcendental consciousness of the Lord tells him, I am Krishna, and I experience pleasure as the Vishaya. The pleasure enjoyed by Radharani, the Ashraya, is many times greater than the pleasure I feel. Therefore, to feel the pleasure of the Ashraya category, Lord Krishna appeared as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Ete Chinti Rahe Krishna Pramara Kautiki. Ete Chinti Raha Krishna Parama Kautiki. Hridaya Badhai Prema Loba Dadhataki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Dakdaki, blazing. Thinking in this way, Lord Krishna was curious to taste that love. His eager desire for that love increasingly blazed in his heart. Shune ara lobera prakar Swamadurya Deki Krishna Karina Vichar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is one desire. Now please hear of another. Seeing his own beauty, Lord Krishna began to consider Adbhuta Ananta Purna Mora Madhurima Tridakera Ihake Kahe Nahe Paisima. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My sweetness is wonderful, infinite and full. No one in the three worlds can find its limit. E prema dware nitya radhika kale amar madhurima mrita asvadi sakali. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Only Radhika, by the strength of her love, tastes all the nectar of my sweetness. Yajapi nirmal radhara sat prema darpada tatapi suchata tar vadhe kane kana. Although Radha's love is pure like a mirror, its purity increases at every moment. Amara madhurya nahi padita avakashe eda panera age nava rupe bhase. My sweetness also has no room for expansion, yet it shines before that mirror in newer beauty. Man madhurya radha prema dohe hoda kari kane kane bhare dohe keha nahi hari. There is constant competition between my sweetness and the mirror of Radha's love. They both go on increasing, but neither knows defeat. Amara madhurya nita nava nava hoy swasa prema anurup bhakte asvadai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My sweetness is always newer and newer. Devotees taste it according to their own respective love. Apana de dekidati apana madhuri asvadite hoy loba asvadite nari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If I see my sweetness in a mirror, I am tempted to taste it, but nevertheless I cannot. Vichara kari hajadi asvada upai radhika swarup hoite tabe manipai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. If I deliberate on a way to taste it, I find that I hanker for the position of Radhika. Krishna's attractiveness is wonderful and unlimited. No one can know the end of it. Srimati Radharani alone can relish such extensiveness from her position in the Ashraya category. The mirror of Srimati Radharani's transcendental love is perfectly clear, yet it appears clearer and clearest in the transcendental method of understanding Krishna. In the mirror of Radharani's heart, the transcendental features of Krishna appear increasingly new and fresh. In other words, the attraction of Krishna increases in proportion to the understanding of Srimati Radharani. Each tries to supersede the other. Neither wants to be defeated in increasing the intensity of love. Desiring to understand Radharani's attitude of increasing love, Lord Krishna appeared as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki, Shri Caitanya Charitamrta ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premanande. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's no other literature like this in the world where we have an intimate understanding of the motivation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in appearing. What to speak of a literature that describes the form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord. The Sri Caitanya Charitamrta here gives the psychology behind how the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, in witnessing the intensity of the love of his counterpart, Srimati Radharani, then realizes that because he, Krishna, is the abode of all sweetness, the object of appreciation, that the appreciator, Srimati Radharani, is tasting the sweetness, whereas he is the sweetness. And therefore, being the supreme enjoyer, he has a conundrum. How is it that someone is enjoying more than he is? Then, as he's conducting his regular daily pastimes, he sees his own form in a jeweled column and is dumbfounded by the beauty of his own form and wishes to taste it. So these are the 2 points mentioned so far. How Krishna comes as Sri Caitanya Charitamrta, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is, the supreme enjoyer himself, realizes that those who are enjoying him through service and beholding his beauty and tasting his sweetness by their service to him are enjoying more than he is enjoying. As stated here, Srimati Radharani enjoys 10 million times more than Krishna. Therefore, he comes to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste his own sweetness. So he's Krishna, but he's Krishna in the mood and with the countenance of Srimati Radharani, specifically coming to taste his own sweetness. That's remarkable. There are residual benefits, and that is when he comes to this world, it happens to coincide with the time that the Yuga avatar would normally appear in the world to distribute the Yuga Dharma. Oftentimes, that is accomplished by an Avesh incarnation of the Lord, even a Jiva who comes to distribute that Yuga Dharma. However, because it suit the Lord's purposes, and it coincided with the time that the Yuga avatar would appear, out of his desire, first of all, Anarpita Charyam Chirat Karuna Yavatirna Kalau Samayutum Unatojvala Rasam Sapakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Duty Kadamba Sandipita Sadaraya Kandare Spurutova Sachi Nandana, to distribute pure love of God during that period. In other words, what's being distributed as the Yuga Dharma is very special in this Kali Yuga because it's being distributed by Krishna, who comes in the mood of Srimati Radharani and distributes not just the process of liberation, but also how to attain the highest position in the spiritual world. Anarpita charim chirat. He considers, does the Lord, I haven't distributed this. People don't know about the spontaneous devotion of the residents of Vraj, which appears to be a tiny little village, but actually is the pinnacle of the spiritual world. And in that place, the devotees have devotion for the Lord that is most satisfying to him. So when he comes as the Yuga avatar, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he's distributing the Yuga Dharma. Therefore, as noted in the Beta Kirtan pastimes in the Madhya Lila, we'll see that when the Maharaj Prataparuja sees the Kirtan party coming from Navadvip, entering into Jagannath Puri, they're on the roof watching to see the Vaishnavas and the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enter into Jagannath Puri, that is Prataparuja Maharaj and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He sees Advaita Acharya, he sees Nityananda Prabhu, he sees all the residents, and he hears the sound vibration coming from their kirtan party. He said, I've never heard such a thing before. I've heard kirtan, but nothing like this in my life. And the answer is that this is Prem Sankirtan. There's a special quality to the Sankirtan and the vibration because it's coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his mood of Vrindavan and Vipralamba. All the sentiments of the devotees of Raj are there mixed in the vibration and the chanting of the holy name of the Lord as sound carries consciousness. It carries the mood of the chanter. In an uncanny way, the vibration that we make carries our very intention, which is the most subtle. And when the Lord comes with a particular intention, and he chants the holy name and passes it on to his pure followers, and they chant it, then that intention gets broadcast to the world. That's the amazing feature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming in this Kali Yuga. And then, as is being explained by Kaviraj Goswami in this chapter, as an unfolding of his Mangalacharna verses, the Lord is coming for his own internal purposes. And that is specifically to play the role of a devotee, as is Srimati Radharani, a devotee of Lord Krishna, so that he can understand the depth of Radharani's taste for his sweetness, for his love, for his beauty. So this is remarkable. Now, those who happen to be in the vicinity when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sings and dances, they get showered with his mood. Even literally, as Mahaprabhu was dancing at Rath Yatra, tears would come from his eyes, as if shot from a syringe. If you can imagine being near Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great dancer, as he's dancing and tears from his lotus eyes are showering you. Talk about taking a bath in the Ganges. Shubhananda noticed that foam was coming from Mahaprabhu's lotus mouth while he was dancing in the Rath Yatra, because these are one of the symptoms of ecstatic love. Foam is coming from his mouth. Shubhananda, being expert in relishing the mellows, picked up that foam and ate it. Those close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were relishing the residual distribution of all the nectar coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they passed it on to their followers, the same vibration, the same mood, and the same teachings. And that same methodology, mood, ontology, theology, everything about it, well constructed through the pens of the six Goswamis and passed down through a succession of pure devotees who imbibe the mood, which is reverence for the spontaneous love of the devotees in Vrindavan. They keep it above their heads and worship it and don't try to imitate it. Rather, they follow Vaidhi externally, strictly follow the principles of devotional service, getting up early, performing Mangalarti, chanting a prescribed number of rounds, following the four regulative principles, performing the 64 items of devotional service to the best of one's ability, hearing and chanting together, and following the protocol of Vaidhi Bhakti. Nonetheless, the ultimate goal is the spontaneous love that Lord Caitanya distributed it. Even those who attain it maintain externally the position of a Vaidhi practitioner, even as they're relishing the mellows within their hearts. And that's not something to be exposed or revealed to others. In fact, in many places, including the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, it's mentioned that one should not willy-nilly reveal one's intimate revelations to others, because it will spoil it. Other people will not be able to appreciate. And as one advances, one should reveal one's advancement by one's steadiness and by the way one controls one's tongue, by those two methods. Just as Chanakya Pandit says, if you get a lot of money, somehow or other your 401k blows up, or somebody gives you a huge ton of cash, don't go around and tell everybody, I have this much money. Never say it. Let them figure it out by the way you're living, Chanakya Pandit said. They'll figure it out. Hey, did you notice? Dilip doesn't work anymore. Did you notice? He's only chanting all day long, and he's flies here and there. He must be wealthy. But Dilip never says, oh, I'm a very wealthy man. So for devotees who are able to get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and take it into their hearts, people can see externally, yes, this person is steady, because by steadiness alone, one can understand somebody's advancement, and by the merciful vibrations that come from their mouth. It's the first symptom, is the speech of the devotees. So the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu know the protocol, which is to honor the process of spontaneous devotional service, and know that they're following that path because they're following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, they're following the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by that method, Mahat Kritena, they'll come to the perfectional stage of pure devotional service. And now we'll take a few reflections or questions, and I'll just point here, and that is that we're going to have the announcements this morning a little earlier than usual, because I was invited and happily accepted to give a 3-minute glorification of one of my godbrothers whose Vyasa Puja celebrations is going on right now. So I'll have to jump off at 25 after to jump into the other Zoom room and then say my piece of glorification for my godbrother, and then I'll jump back on from one through a time warp. Somehow it will happen. So don't be alarmed if we have a slightly different schedule, but let's just see what we have now. Sindhu Kanya Devi Dasi has kindly put up the board, but let's see if you have any comments or questions from the section we're reading and hearing from now. You don't have to write them in there. You can speak up if you want also. But be quick about it, because we got to go in a few minutes. No pressure.
Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams, can I?
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj is taking one of the verses out of context, where Krishna is saying that if he tries to look into the mirror and taste, he's not able to taste it. And I was just thinking that we in this material world also try to do something similar, because this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world, and we try to taste things in the reflection, and we are never able to taste it properly, like that.
Yes, except for the reflection that we see is something illusory because we're in the body, because the super soul's in the body. Therefore, the Vedas say uh, the body is dear to us. And it's by extension that we take so much care of this body because the super soul is dear to us. The super soul is within this body. But I mistakenly think I am my body. So when I see the reflection, I'm enamored of that. Whereas when Krishna sees his reflection, there's no difference between himself and his transcendental body, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sakchirananda Vigraha, and even the reflection is the same as Krishna. Small point, but
Yeah.
it is well taken that this is the nature of the soul to be fascinated with the super soul. But it's proven that when you leave the body, you're no longer interested in the body, nor is anybody else, because the super soul's gone, and the soul's gone. So everyone, even the most charismatic movie star, everyone wants to be near. And then when he or she leaves the body, everyone's said, "Would you like to spend an evening with your favorite star?"
Mhm.
Only one caveat, and that is that she left her body, and we'll drop it off the body for you. And nobody will agree to that. Right, Sadhu? Sadhu says yes. Okay, what
Hare
else?
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So the 2 points that struck me is like it's not Krishna consciousness is not like you go into a trance and something happens inside. You said definite results that comes from sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness, which is our material desires go down, which we discussed in the japa session. And then the second point that I said is like whatever comes out of our mouth is like it's auspicious. So these two things that there's a measuring scale that everybody can like realize and see it in practice. So it's not like I chant and I go into some blissful state that nobody can even imagine. So I was really appreciating how our acharyas give these two symptoms and also encourage us to do everything working towards that. Because I was reading Srila Prabhupada's letters, especially on where he addresses like 16 rounds is so important. And then the letter after letter I read, like Prabhupada is like writing big letters, like encouraging, like appreciating the devotees for their kind service. But in the last line before closing, he always says that chant your 16 rounds on beads. So I was just thinking how Prabhupada like doing big things, but as you just said, just he's giving a solution to be a good devotee, even though they did great things. So I was so appreciative of Prabhupada, how he was like always focusing on the crux of our movement, which is chanting Krishna's names. Thank
Yes,
you,
thank
Prabhu.
you. Thank you for sharing. It is important for us to go into trance. This is mentioned in the last purport of the third chapter of the Bhagavatam, where Prabhupada mentions that is, we should hear with rapt attention. Rapt means rapture. And when we find ourselves rapturously absorbed in chanting or in hearing the Bhagavatam, we're getting traction in the practice of devotional service. We're moving forward from rapture. Minus that, we may be in a state of distraction or sleep or indifference to the vibration. This is another sign that we can see for ourselves that we're advancing. We know when we're absorbed in something. because time stops. We only want that one thing. There's no other consideration. And it's important to develop that as we hear and chant, to have these experiences of rapture in hearing the unique quality of the holy name and the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, and so forth, as all advancement takes place within absorption. And then we have Shruti Priya says one should reveal to others Krishna's intimate reciprocation. Can they share? One should not reveal. Can they share with their close family members? Well, we should hear and chant in the association of Swajatiya, those who are like-minded. And it's always important to chant hear and chant in a safe environment. Safe means there's no outsiders. Everyone's intimate. Of course, we do programs. There should always be new people. But the different kind of hearing and chanting or revealing one's mind in confidence takes place with those who are safe. They're like-minded. They won't violate our confidence. Still, one should be careful because revealing one's mind or heart realizations, even to one's own mind, says Sanatana Goswami, can be dangerous. These things should be kept secret. Let them come out in your own service. If need be, and you ask your spiritual master for confirmation about certain things, that can be very helpful. And if you have very intimate guides or devotees who you're very sure you can reveal the things to, then you can discuss them. But it's the culture to be very, very careful about that. Ankit says this chapter reveals the ultimate glories of the devotional service, especially rendered by the residents of Vrindavan, especially rendered by Srimati Radharani. It is even difficult to describe how Krishna, being the most beautiful and attractive personality, cannot relish his sweetness, but his devotees can relish that, and seeing that Krishna wants to relish what his devotees are relishing. Simply amazing. Well, then you can celebrate the fact that you're a living entity, because you're in a unique position where you get to relish Krishna's sweetness and beauty from your perspective, unlimitedly and eternally and ever increasingly. Question: what all comes under Guru Aparad? If Guru gives some general instruction in his discourses and disciples not following, well, is that also Guru Aparad? General instructions, it just depends on what they are, because everyone may have a particular service in devotional service. But as Prabhupada speaks to this in the Caitanya Caritamrta, that the very specific instructions, especially the vows that one takes, if one deliberately breaks those vows, then this is considered to be an offense to the Guru, Guru Vagna, not following the rules and regulations of the Guru, or to develop an attitude towards the Guru that he's an ordinary person, because he's a representative, Sakshadari Toimastamasta Shastra. And therefore, if you develop a kind of familiarity where you think, oh yeah, we're same level, then you can't, not only can't you derive the benefit from your Guru, but also then you start to make offense. So the general instructions may or may not apply to every single person, unless it's an instruction that's universal and important to follow. But but one should be careful to maintain those specific instructions that are given by the Guru and the vows that one takes as an example. If you want to ask more detail about that, then please write back, Shama Bhakti, or you can speak up. Okay.
It was a general thought, Guru Maharaj. Even I had that question today morning when we were reading the aparads, because, there's so much that you want to do and you're unable to do at this moment in time. It may not be possible for you to achieve those results, but as long as you're not offensive and you're not consciously avoiding following the instructions? I wanted to know that do we still count it as
There's a
aparad?
difference between deferring the instruction because one's not able to fulfill it at the time and avoiding it altogether. Prabhupada deferred the instruction of his spiritual master, as he said, for many years because he was absorbed in what he was doing. He had family life. He was already in that when he met his guru. And he had to make a livelihood, and he was building a business. And when he got the order of his spiritual master, he had the idea that he would build his business into something that would facilitate his following the order of his spiritual master, but it didn't work. And he triangulated, he came ever closer to following that order until it manifested years later. He said, now I've come in my old age to the United States and see how long it's taken me. That's different from someone who says, oh, well, I don't believe in the order they gave me. I'll just not do it and just not show up. There has to be a sincere attempt to try to attain that.
Vanchakalpadrishta Kripasindhabevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Can everyone unmute and say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Rama.
Haribo.
Natcheri Armarman, Natcheri Armarman, Natcheri Armarman, Natcheri Armarman, hey, Natcheri Armarman, Natcheri Armarman, Natcheri Armarman, Natcheri Armarman.